Thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for the Sabbath. Thank you for the amazing blessing that it is. Lord, I pray that you'd bless everybody listening online, everybody here today. Lord, I pray that you'd bless JP and bless this message today, bless this teaching, and that we'd learn to know you more and understand who you are. Bless your holy name, Lord. Amen.
Okay then, Torah portion Vayeilech. As you can see, it is a pretty small Torah portion. It's 30 verses long. It might even be the shortest Torah portion, I don't know. And it's funny, I had the entire Torah portion kind of mapped out what it was going to be. And then when I got down here to go through it, as I was going through, certain parts of it stuck out, so it changed. But the theme that really sticks out in the Torah portion is the idea of being afraid, or the idea of fear. And what I'm going to look at is this idea of the fear of Yehovah, and us not being afraid as well. So Deuteronomy 31 verse 1 says, "And Moshe went and spoke all these words to all Israel." And we thought before about how exactly that's going to pan out. If you look at this picture, there would maybe be about 50 people there, but there was about 1 million, over 1 million people in Israel. So I don't know how exactly he would have done that. Maybe he went round and spoke to people in groups, or we often see him speaking to the elders and the leaders and then them disseminating the information. But all of these words were spoken to all of Israel. He said to them, "I am 120 years old today. I'm no longer able to go out and come in, and Yehovah has said to me, you do not pass over this Yarden." So this statement, "I'm no longer able to go out and come in," kind of sounds like maybe Moshe is getting a little bit old. But this statement is idiomatic. Just like the fear of Yehovah, which we'll look at, is idiomatic. It's not necessarily being afraid of Yehovah. This statement is idiomatic as well. In Numbers 27:16 to 18, it says, "Let Yehovah, the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who goes out before them and comes in before them." Okay, so this is idiomatic of leading the people, who leads them out and brings them in. So when Moshe is saying, "I'm no longer able to go out, I'm no longer able to come in," it's idiomatic of, I can't lead you anymore. If we actually see what he says after this, Yehovah has said to me, you do not pass over this Yarden. So this is a reference to Moshe's leadership. And Yehovah said to Moshe, "Take Yehoshua son of Nun with you, a man in whom is the Spirit." So this is to do with the appointment of Joshua, which is what we're going to see after this. So he says, "I can no longer lead you. Joshua is going to take you in. I'm not going to be the one who takes you over into the promised land." We know from Deuteronomy 34 verse 7, it says, "Moshe was 120 years old when he died. His eyes were not dim, nor his freshness gone." So it's nothing to do with him not being able to leave his place and come back into his place or anything like that. It's to do with, I am no longer going to be your leader. Verse 3 says, "Yehovah your Elohim himself is passing over before you. He shall destroy these nations from before you, and you possess them. Yehoshua himself is passing over before you, as Yehovah has spoken." So I'm no longer able to lead you. Yehovah said, I'm not going to go over the Jordan into the land. Yehovah himself is going to do it. Yehoshua himself is going to do it. And Yehovah has done to them as he has done to Sihon and to Og, the kings of the Amorites and their land, when he destroyed them. And Yehovah has given them over to you, and you have done to them according to all the command which I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous, do not fear, nor be afraid of them, for it is Yehovah your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. So we've got these tenses coming into play. I'm not going to do this. Yehovah is doing this. Joshua is doing this. And it says that he has done to them. Okay, it's already been done. as he has done to Sichon and Og. Obviously, those things are in the past. But he says, look, he's done to them as he has done. So in exactly the same way as that's in the past, Yehovah has done that. It has been established. But the thing that stuck out to me in this passage was, again, I had everything mapped out how I was going to do the Torah portion. But the thing that stuck out to me, so I had to stop and then edit the Torah portion, was, do not fear, nor be afraid of them. For it is Yehovah your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you, nor forsake you. This brought up a lot of different thoughts in my mind. The life that we live is obviously different to the world. And to the world's perspective, the life that we live is very different and possibly even dangerous. They see the things that we're doing and they don't understand why we do them. Peter speaks about this sort of thing in 1 Peter 4, 3-4. It says, for we have spent enough of our past lifetime in doing the desire of the Gentiles, having walked in indecencies, lust, drunkenness, orgies, wild parties, and abominable idolatries, in which they are surprised that you do not run with them in the same flood of loose behavior. So the Gentiles, when they look at us, they think that there's something weird, there's something wrong going on. They cannot understand why we don't live in the same way that they live. And to them, it kind of seems like a dangerous way for us to be living. Okay? To a godless perspective, this is kind of like what it's like. Okay? They think, wow, you're surrounded by danger and you're walking in this really weird way. To us, we have a challenge, okay? Do we see things in the same way? Do we see things, well, Yehovah is not involved in this, or do we remember those sort of words, okay? Yehovah will never fail you, nor forsake you. We can think of life as being a bit like this. We don't really know what's going to happen in the future. But the way that the relationship with Yehovah is supposed to work is we do what we're doing in the world. Whatever we want to do in the world, we do it as long as it's according to what the word says is permitted for us. Okay, and we can do whatever we want. We can choose whatever we want in this life. And we can go after that as long as it's in accordance with the word. Yehovah is obviously apart from this world. And everything else is in his control. But what people try to do is they try to get that information about what Yehovah's plan is for the future, and they try to pray for guidance. Yehovah, we need to know what it is that we're to do at this point. But that's never the way that Scripture describes the relationship with Yehovah. We walk and we do whatever we're going to do in our lives, and we leave everything else to him because he's got a load of information that we don't have. The basis of what divination is trying to divine the will of God. It's trying to find out exactly what God's path for your life is. That's what actual doing divination is. I've done divination many, many times in my life. I became very caught up in it. So for us, it kind of feels like this, but we're to remember in these situations that Yehovah will never fail you, nor forsake you. So it shouldn't actually be like this. Ecclesiastes 11, 4-6 says, he who watches the wind does not sow. He who looks at the clouds does not reap. As you do not know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of Elohim who makes all. Sow your seed in the morning, and until evening do not let your hand rest, since you do not know which prosper, this or that, or whether both alike are good. Okay, so for us, we're not constantly calling on Yehovah, saying, Yehovah, I need guidance in this situation. You've put me on this path, and now I need to know what it is that you want me to do next. No, we get on with doing whatever in that situation, and then Yehovah has all of that information, and he guides our paths, and he makes sure everything's okay. See, the thing is, we're never going to step outside of Yehovah's will unless we start doing things that he describes as wrong, as evil. As long as what we are doing is in accordance with his word, that's fine with him. And then he can work in that situation, and he will bring about all of the things that he desires to come about. But if we are in a situation where we're calling on him and we're saying, I need to know what the future is, I need to know what you want me to do now, the situation breaks down. He who watches the wind does not sow. If you're always looking at the wind and you're thinking, what's going to happen next? Yehovah, tell me what's going to happen next. Then you'll never sow. If you're looking at the clouds and you're thinking, ooh, I'm not sure, then you're never going to reap. Okay? You don't know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of Elohim. And we shouldn't desire to know those things either. We should leave it with him, because there's many things that he cannot explain to us. If we're looking to him for guidance in a particular situation, and we want to know what is the future course of this situation, then maybe he can't tell us. Because maybe if he told us the next step, then maybe we would figure things out based on that would turn out to be wrong in the future. We've got to leave all of those things just in his hand and not feel like we have no guidance, that we're just walking blind in these situations, because Yehovah is in charge of those. But we don't know all of those things which are under his control. Sow your seed in the morning, and until evening do not let your hand rest. Just get on with living your lives. If we think, I need to know specific guidance about should I take this step or should I take that step, what we're trying to do is take those things out of Yehovah's hands and divine that information from him. Whereas the model that we see in the word is just go out, put your hand to whatever you're going to put your hand to, and allow Yehovah to work through what you do. We have control over our lives. We can make the decisions about what we want to do, but we must remember in all of those things that we're going to be brought into judgment for them. Later in Ecclesiastes 11 it says, rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart gladden you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes, because that's the only information that we have. We can only make the decisions in our life based on what we can see in front of us. But know that for all these, Elohim brings you into judgment. So he's given us a set of instructions, and the set of instructions are the same for every person. Here you go, do these instructions. Do whatever you want though. You don't need my guidance on what is the next step for you to take. Just do whatever you want. You don't know what's going to work, what's not going to work, but you know that I will never fail you nor forsake you. So it can feel like this, and we're seeking for that next step, that next piece of guidance. What should I do, Father? It's like if you had a child and you've been out for the day and you come back and the child's there and you can see that nothing's really moved in the kitchen or anything, and you say, have you eaten any food today? And the child says, no, I was waiting for you to come back so you could tell me what it was that I was to eat. And you say, there's a fridge that's full of food there. That's all food that's good. I've told you all of that food's good. You can have whatever you want. Don't do something weird with the stuff in the fridge. Don't eat all of the butter or anything that you know to be bad. But just get whatever you want. What do you like? I like beans on toast. That's fine. Have some beans on toast. Whatever it is that you desire to do. You don't need me to tell you this next step in what you're going to do. Do whatever your heart desires to do, but remember, for all those things you are going to be brought into judgment, and you know what the judgment is. You've been told what's right, and you've been told what's wrong. Just do those things. So it can feel like this to us, but the way that Yehovah tells us that it is like this. Always it's like this. He will never fail you nor forsake you. Just do what is good, do what is righteous, and he is right there with you in that moment, and he's guiding you through all of those things. Moshe called Yehoshua and said to him before the eyes of all Yisrael, Be strong and courageous, for you do go in with this people to the land which Yehovah, your Elohim, Yehovah, has sworn to your fathers to give them, and you do cause them to inherit it. So an instruction is given at this point. You're going to go into the land, go into the land. But think about what the situation was like with Abraham. Go to this land which you do not know. Didn't then say to Abraham, when you get to the land, pray to me about what the next step is. No, Abraham went to the land and he lived his life, and Yehovah guided him through his life, and everything happened according to what Yehovah said. Abraham wasn't there worried that he was going to step outside of Yehovah's will in that situation. Abraham was just living his life. And then things came about, and Yehovah achieved his will, because he is able to achieve his will in all of those situations. And it is Yehovah who is going before you. He himself is with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be discouraged. Why? Because Yehovah is always there. He's not going to fail you. He's not going to forsake you. He's told you, okay, go into the land. Joshua wasn't then praying to him for guidance about what he did when he got into the land. He just went into the land. He would have lived his life. He wasn't there saying, should I have this for my dinner, that for my dinner? He just did the things of life. And then Yehovah could guide him in all of those things. It's that separation of our lives from Yehovah's eternal knowledge. We do not know the things that he knows, but we know that we can do whatever as long as it is good. Verse 9 says, and Moshe wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yehovah, and to all the elders of Israel. So to all the people who were going to be the judges, he gives the Torah. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of 7 years, at the appointed time, the year of release, at the festival of Booths or Sukkot, when all Yisrael comes to appear before Yehovah, your Elohim, in the place which he chooses, read this Torah before all Yisrael in their hearing. So I was talking recently about maybe it would be a good idea to do it in the 3rd year when all of the people are there. What the Torah actually says is in the year of release, in the 7th year, because you're going to have a release of all debts. When all Yisrael comes up before Yehovah, read the Torah at that point. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear and so that they learn to fear Yehovah your Elohim and cherish to do all the words of this Torah. And their children who have not known it should hear and learn to fear Yehovah your Elohim. So the reason that the Torah was being given at this point is so that they learned to fear Yehovah your Elohim. Now we can look at the fear of Yehovah and we can think, well, maybe it is being aware of who he is and being fearful that if you don't do what he says, that things are going to go bad. But, and I'll go into this as we go through, but that's not fear of Yehovah. That's fear of yourself. And you'll understand when you see what this fear of is idiomatic for. Because many people will say, oh, I don't want to go outside what Yehovah says to do because I fear that there's going to be bad consequences in my life. But who's being esteemed there? This is a concept that we'll see that is essentially the fear of Yehovah. Who's being esteemed in that situation? You're esteeming yourself. I don't want to do anything that's going to bring bad consequences on myself. Now we see people when they see Yehovah, they are fearful and they're trembling, and that's a healthy response. But that's not what the fear of Yehovah is. So this is a weird concept, okay? Teaching how to fear Yehovah. Okay, if we think of it in the normal way that people think of this, that it's, being afraid of him. You can't really teach somebody how to be afraid of something. They either are or they're not. 2 Kings says, the king of Ashur commanded, saying, send one of the priests whom you exiled from there to go there, let him go and dwell there, and let him teach them the justice of the Elohim of the land, the mishpat of the Elohim of the land. And one of the priests whom they had exiled from Shomeron came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how to fear Yahovah. So what did he teach them? He taught them the mishpat of the Elohim of the land. And he was teaching them how to fear Yahovah. So there was a link between these things. The commands, the laws, the statutes, as we'll see. Teaching those is teaching how to fear Yahovah. Deuteronomy 17:18-19, talking about the king, it says, "And it shall be when he sits on the throne of his kingdom that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book from the one before the priests, the Levites, and it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he learns to fear Yahovah his Elohim and cherish all the words of this Torah." And what we're going to see is this concept of fearing Yahovah is the same as the concept of cherishing all the words of the Torah, or guarding all of the words of the Torah. Psalm 34:11-14, Yahovah himself says, "Come, you children, listen to me. Let me teach you the fear of Yahovah." Okay, Yirah is the noun form of Yareh. Yareh is what you do, you fear. I'm fearing. Yirah is the noun for the concept, the fear of Yahovah. Who is the man who desires life, who loves many days in order to see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. So that's what Yahovah says. That's fearing Yahovah. Keep your tongue from evil, your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil, do good, seek peace and pursue it. That's how Yahovah says, let me teach you the fear of Yahovah. That's his definition. Deuteronomy 6:1-2. And this is the command, the laws and judgments which Yahovah your Elohim has commanded to teach you to do in the land which you're passing over to possess, so that you fear Yahovah your Elohim, to cherish all his laws and his commands which I command you. So again, I'm going to teach you, these are the laws which you do, and in doing them, you're going to have the fear of Yahovah. Deuteronomy 6:20-25 says, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the witnesses and the laws and the judgments which Yahovah our Elohim has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Mitzrayim, and Yahovah brought us out of Mitzrayim with a strong hand. And Yahovah sent signs and wonders, great and grievous, upon Mitzrayim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there to bring us in, to give us the land of which he swore to our fathers. And Yahovah commanded us to do all these laws, to fear Yahovah our Elohim, for our good always, to keep us alive as it is this day. So he's commanded us to do these things to fear him. And it's righteousness for us when we cherish to do all this command before Yahovah our Elohim as he has commanded us. In 1 Samuel 12 we see it says, if you fear Yahovah and shall serve him, obey his voice, and not rebel against the command of Yahovah, then both you and the king who reigns over you shall follow Yahovah your Elohim. But if you do not obey the voice of Yahovah and shall rebel, okay, so this fearing of Yahovah is connected with obeying his voice. Job 28:28 says, and he said to man, see, the fear of Yahovah, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding. So this fear of Yahovah is, as Yahovah himself explained it to be, to turn away from evil and to do good. So what is the fear of Yahovah? Isaiah 11:1-3 is a passage which we need to understand what the fear of Yahovah is in order to understand some important things. Somebody asked me about this passage the other day on one of the videos that was about Yeshua being Yahovah, the word of Yahovah made flesh. And a rod came forth from the stump of Yeshai, and a sprout from his root shall bear fruit. The spirit of Yahovah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge, and of the fear of Yahovah, and shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahovah. So if this is being afraid of Yahovah, then how can he be Yahovah, the word of Yahovah made flesh? How is that possible if he fears Yahovah? Well, of course, when we come to understand this, we'll see exactly how Yeshua has the fear of Yehovah. Genesis 32 verse 11 shows us that this word, in its common usage, does mean to be afraid of something. Okay? Yaakov, talking of Esav, says, "For I fear him, lest he come and shall smite me." The officers shall speak further to the people and say, "Who is the man who is afraid and tender of heart?" Okay? They don't go to war because they are afraid. They fear. Yehovah said to Gideon, "The people who are with you are too many for me to give Midian into their hands. Let Yisrael boast against me, saying, lest Yisrael boast and say, my own hand has saved me. And now proclaim in the hearing of the people and say, whoever is afraid." So we can see absolutely this word does mean fear. And if it means fear, then what does it mean in the context of the fear of Yehovah? Does it mean to be afraid of him? Are we supposed to be trembling before him? Are all of our actions supposed to be motivated by fear? Well, we know from the rest of Scripture that our actions are not to be motivated by fear, but rather of love of Yehovah, of esteem for Yehovah. And that's what we'll come to see this word means in this context. Fearing Yehovah is giving weight to him. I could go through all of these verses and show you through them, but then you'd want to read all the verses again to see this concept in them. So I'll just tell you straight up from the beginning that to fear Yehovah is to give weight to him, to give esteem, to highly esteem his word rather than lightly esteem his word. Numbers 15:30-31 says, "The soul who does whatever defiantly, whether he is a native or a stranger, he reviles Yehovah." And this word's actually interesting when we're considering that this is blasphemy of the Spirit to do this, because gedaf means to revile when it's used of a man, but it means to blaspheme when it's used of Yehovah. So you could well translate this, he blasphemes Yehovah. And that soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of Yehovah. And this word despised, bazar, means to lightly esteem. So what's this person done? He has blasphemed against Yehovah. He's defiantly done against Yehovah's Torah. He's lightly esteemed the word, because you can respond to the word in two ways. Okay, you can either hear what the word says and do something different, showing that the esteem that you have for the word is as if it's nothing, or a light esteem for it. Or you can hear the word and do it, and doing such is fearing Yehovah, and that is to heavily esteem the word or highly esteem it, has broken his command. That soul shall certainly be cut off. So we've got despising the word, lightly esteeming it, and fearing Yehovah, or fearing the word. Malachi 1 verse 6 says, "A son esteems his father and a servant his master. And if I am the father, where is my esteem? If I'm a master, where is my fear?" Okay, this is a different word for fear. This is morah. "Said Yehovah Sebaot to you, the priests who despise my name, who lightly esteem my name." But you asked him, what way have we lightly esteemed your name? So he's saying, where is my fear? Where is my esteem? You've lightly esteemed my name. Where is the fear of Yehovah though? Malachi 2 verse 5 says, "My covenant with him was life and peace. I gave to him to fear, and he feared me and stood in awe of my name." Deuteronomy 25 verse 18 says, "How he met you on the way and attacked your back, all the feeble ones in your rear, when you were tired and weary, and he did not fear Elohim." Okay, so this is Amalek. Amalek's response to seeing the children of Israel, knowing that they were led out of Egypt by Yehovah, was to attack them. He did not highly esteem Yehovah. Psalm 111 verse 10 says, "The fear of Yehovah is the beginning of wisdom. All those doing them have a good understanding." Doing what? Doing the fear of Yehovah. His praise is standing forever. So what we're going to see emerge here is that fearing Yehovah is directly synonymous with doing his word. It's synonymous with esteeming him. It's synonymous with loving him, recognizing the value of his word. It's actually synonymous with what the New Testament more readily describes as faith. To fear Yehovah is to have faith in him, to have faith in his word. You hear it and you highly esteem it, so you do it. And that is the same concept as having faith. You have faith in his word so that you do it. Genesis 22:11-12 says, "But the angel of Yehovah called to him from the heavens and said, Avram, Avram. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the boy, nor touch him, for now I know that you fear Elohim." He wasn't saying, now I know that you were so afraid of Elohim that when he told you to kill your son, you did. He's saying, now I know that you highly esteem Elohim. It tells us in Hebrews that what Abraham did, he did because he reckoned Yehovah able to raise Isaac from the dead, because Isaac was the seed of promise. So he so highly esteemed Elohim, so highly esteemed the words that Elohim spoke, that he knew that if he killed his son, that because Elohim had said that he was going to be the seed of promise, he would have to raise him from the dead. That was Abraham's response to Yehovah's word. Exodus 9:20-21 says, "Those among the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of Yehovah made their servants and livestock flee to their houses. But those who did not set their heart on the word of Yehovah." So we see here that to fear Yehovah is to set your heart on his word. Those who feared did according to the word. Those who didn't set their heart on the word did not do according to the word. So on one hand, we've got highly esteeming his word. On the other hand, we've got lightly esteeming his word. Proverbs 1:7 says, "The fear of Yehovah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline." Because these things we're going to see are connected to the fear of Yehovah, being disciplined by the word of Yehovah. Being disciplined by the word doesn't mean that you've got a bad consequence comes upon you. Being disciplined by the word means you read it and then you realize something that you're doing wrong and you change it. That's what to be disciplined means. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. The fear of Yehovah is the beginning of knowledge. Why? Highly esteeming his word is the beginning of doing his word. It's the beginning of understanding who he is, because people will never come to an understanding of who Yehovah is without first highly esteeming the things that he says. No one's ever going to change the things that they're doing in their life unless they highly esteem his word. But as I alluded to before, people get to a certain point with it and then they fear themselves rather than Yehovah. They fear the consequences in their life. They don't want to change something because they think that it's going to go badly in some way. So they go so far with the word, and they would say, yes, I fear Yehovah. But they go no further, because what they actually fear is themselves, or they actually fear is in highly esteem something else. Proverbs 9:10 says, "The fear of Yehovah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the set apart one is understanding." All these Hebrew parallelisms where it's the fear of Yehovah, the knowledge of the set apart one, it's understanding who he is, it's esteeming him, it's fearing him, loving him. All of these things are the same, but it's not being afraid of him. It's not being afraid of the consequences. The people who are afraid of the consequences fear themselves in this context. Proverbs 15:33 says, "The fear of Yehovah is the discipline of wisdom," because you're disciplined by those things. You read the word and you highly esteem it, and you know that to do those things is the right thing to do because you worship him. People get confused about the concept of what worship is. They think that it's singing songs to him, but it's not. It's to become like him because you recognize the value of the things that he says, and so you do those things. That's what it is to fear him. It's not, if I do this, then I will have bad consequences, so I'm not going to do this. It's understanding who Yehovah is and what his word actually is. So you do the things because you know that it is good. You turn away from evil. You change yourself, not because you fear the consequences, because you know that to do so is right, because you esteem or you fear his word. Proverbs 128 verse 1 says, "Blessed are all who fear Yehovah, who walk in his ways." That's what it is to fear Yehovah. It's to walk in his ways. He says to do something, and you know just instinctively, I will do this thing because it is who I am. This is why the chosen are those who fear Yehovah. They're the ones that he picks out of the world. As I say, it's exactly the same concept as having faith in the New Testament. You have faith in his word. You recognize it. You do his word because he said to do it. That's what it is to fear him. Proverbs 8, 6-13 says, "Listen, for I speak noble words." This is wisdom speaking here. "The opening of my lips is about straightness. For my mouth speaks truth, and wrongness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, none of them twisted or crooked. All of them plain to him who understands, and straight to those who find knowledge." Why? Because they fear Yehovah. When he says to do something, they just understand it. They know him. It's synonymous with knowing him, with having faith in him. It's the same as all of these concepts. "Accept my discipline and not silver." The only people who are going to accept his discipline are the people who understand who he is. Plain to him who understands. And knowledge rather than choice gold. "For wisdom is better than rubies, and all delights are not comparable to her. But to those who do not highly esteem his word, this sounds like nonsense. Of course it's better to have loads of gold. What do you want? I want loads of gold." Knowledge is better than choice gold. "Accept my discipline, not silver." Because to the people who fear him and understand him and know him, of course these things make sense. All of these things are plain to him who understands, plain to him who fears Yehovah. "I, wisdom, have dwelt with insight, and I find knowledge, foresight." The fear of Yehovah is to hate evil. That's what it is. And he says this is good, and he says this is evil. But because you fear him, then you hate what he says is evil, and you love what he says is good. Like when Yeshua said, "If you love me, you shall keep my commandments." "I have hated pride and arrogance and the evil way and the perverse mouth." So wisdom says the fear of Yehovah is to hate evil. And then wisdom says, I have hated the evil way. Fear of Yehovah is the beginning of wisdom. So now we can understand Isaiah 11. "A rod shall come forth from the stump of Yeshai, and a sprout from his roots shall bear fruit. Spirit of Yehovah shall rest upon him," including the fear of Yehovah. Make him breathe in the fear of Yehovah. Not that he's afraid of him, not that he's separate to him, but that he understands him, that he knows him, that he highly esteems those things that Yehovah highly esteems, and he hates those things which Yehovah hates. So Deuteronomy 31 verse 8, and it's connected with this idea of fearing Yehovah. "It is Yehovah who is going before you. He himself is with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you." Do not fear, same word used in its normal context here. "Nor be discouraged." If you fear Yehovah and you're walking and fearing Yehovah, then you have no need to fear in its normal context. Fear him metaphorically, and you don't need to fear him in actual reality, because your life is pleasing to him. You do the things that he wants done on the earth, and you allow him to be there in the background and to guide you. In the second part, I'm going to look at some more concepts that come up from this idea of the fear of Yehovah. I'm going to look at people who twist the word and how they would say that they fear Yehovah, but the truth couldn't be further.